chapter 3 anyway. Economics AS level, production possibility frontier. When we talk about production possibility frontier, it's simply talking about what we are able to put together when we combine two goods, or when we combine all of our resources to be able to produce some certain goods or services. Because the economy is faced with the problem of scarcity, it means we will always have to make a choice. Making a choice means we need to illustrate, we need to make a graph that shows us what we have in terms of resources and what we can use them to be, what we can use them for. So a production possibility curve is a graph that shows the combination of goods, which is like the capital goods and consumer goods, which can be produced if all resources are fully utilized. It means we won't produce what we don't have the resources for. So an economy is able to produce because it has the resources. Please stop writing. An economy will be able to produce based on its resources. So if you don't have the resources, then you can't produce. So the combination of what you can produce as an economy, if all resources are fully employed, is called production possibility frontier. And when we talk about resources, it does not only mean the raw materials, it also means labor, capital, enterprise. All these that makes up factors of production are all resources. So if the economy is faced with unemployment opportunity, that means a lot of people don't have jobs. It means the resources in that economy is not fully utilized. So an unemployed person is not adding value to the economy. If you are unemployed, it means you are not adding value. It means you are not adding to the output of the economy. Because if you have been employed, you'll be able to contribute your own quota to the economy. Do you get the point I'm making here? An unemployed person means that the economy is not fully utilizing its resources. So you are not supposed to not be engaged, you are supposed to be engaged. Because you have the ability, the willingness, the technique, the qualification to have a job, but you're not getting a job. That means you are unemployed. So that's why we say PPF shows a graph that combines two goods or two resources, that combines resources together to produce two combination of goods. If all resources that are combined are fully utilized, are fully employed. It means land is fully employed, labor is fully employed, capital is fully employed. We don't have resources left. If we don't have, then we have reached our PPF. So we now check, what should we produce more? Are we supposed to produce capital goods more or consumer goods? We cannot produce both of them at the same level. That is where opportunity costs come in. There's opportunity cost because the problem of the society or the economy is scarcity. Yes or no? There's scarcity. Then we need to make choices. So making a choice means we cannot fully produce these and these at the same time. We can produce few of this, few of that at the same time. But if we have to produce fully this, we won't be producing this at all. And if we are producing this fully, we won't be able to produce this. So that means the production of this lets go of that. And the production of this lets go of that. Do we understand opportunity cost here? So a graph that shows us the different combination of goods that we can produce if all resources are fully utilized is called the PPF. The PPF. That's the graph. I think you understand what PPF is now. Great. So, based on this graph, the PPF focus is mainly on the boundary, which simply means the economy can achieve different results in between the boundary. So this is a boundary. This is a boundary. We have A, B, C, D, E. The economy can produce at A, B, C, or D, but the economy cannot attain E. I'm going to explain each one for us. If the economy has to produce at point A, it means the economy is going to produce zero capital goods. That means zero capital goods. To produce the highest consumer goods here, we are not producing any capital goods. Do we get it? Production of this means none of this. Do we understand the first point here? So that means there's opportunity cost. Yes or no? The opportunity cost is the capital goods that's not only produced. Are you guys with me? Please sit upright. Thank you. Then, if we have to combine both goods, then we can produce at B. Production at B means we can produce at this point and at this point. So that means we can produce capital goods at this point, consumer goods at this point. We combine. Do we get it, please? You don't? Okay. What I'm saying is this. Where's my cleaner? I'm going to take this off now. This is a PPF, a graph that shows the combination of goods that can be produced. If all resources, these are our outputs, if all resources are fully utilized, are employed. Point A is achievable and attainable, but it only means that we will forego capital goods. Producing consumer goods at this highest point. This is the highest point of consumer goods, yes or no? If we are producing at this highest point of consumer goods, we won't be able, or we won't have resources to produce capital goods. So capital goods will be at zero. That's opportunity cost, isn't it? Do we understand the first point here? So point A is attainable. It only means that we won't be able to produce any capital goods because we have used all the resources we have to produce consumer goods. Is point A clear? Great. Now, let's go to point B. Point B is also attainable. Why? Because it's still between the boundary. Yes or no? Good. So, what combination of goods can we produce? Because at point B, it means that we are able to produce both consumer goods and capital goods. But at what quantity? So we get to know the quantity through this illustration. This is point B. Yes or no?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Reading.
Please look at the board. At point B, this is the point. This is the illustration. We take it down. So putting it this way, it means we can combine both capital goods and consumer goods. Are you with me, please? The combination means at this point, we will be able to produce consumer goods. At this point, we'll be able to produce capital goods.
At the same time, right?
At the same time. There's no opportunity. There's opportunity cost here because we are producing few of one, more of another. Yes or no? At point B, we have combined the resources. And this is what can be attainable. We cannot reach this point. We cannot reach this point. But we can be in between these points. Do you understand point B? So at point B, we can combine our resources. Going to point C. At point C, we have is inside the boundary. Point C is where? Inside the boundary. What does that simply mean? What does that simply mean? If it's inside the boundary, who knows what it means?
It means that we're able to produce because there are enough resources.
We are what?
Able to produce.
At point C. Inside the boundary.
Because we have resources.
We have resources.
That's
Well, what happens? We have resources. Then, what's the implication of having the resources?
You're producing less.
We're producing less, okay? Why are we producing less?
We have less resources.
We have resources, but we are producing less. Point C means we have resources, but we are producing less. So what's the implication? What's the consequence of this? What brought about this? It simply means our resources are not fully utilized. It means we have unemployed resources. Do we understand point C now? It means we are not reaching our full potential as an economy. Do we understand point C now, please? Point C simply means the resources, this is our resources. This is where we can reach. But why are we here? It means we are producing few of consumer goods and few of capital goods. Yes or no?
Yes.
So what does this simply mean? It means we have resources, unemployed resources. It means we are unable to reach our full potential. This is our potential. So the inward of a PPF shows that the economy is not fully utilizing its resources. It's not at its full potential. Your potential is what you are able to produce. Your ability, that's your potential. Our ability should be around here, but we are here. It means something is missing. And what's missing? Our unemployed resources. Do we understand?
Yes.
So point C means that we are producing few of consumer goods, few of capital goods. Whereas we can produce at D at B, at A. Why are we staying here? Some things are missing. It might be because we don't have technology. It might be because we lack education and training. It might be because we don't fully understand how our economy is working. Poor allocation of resources. So these are the reasons why we continue to not reach our potential. Do we understand the point, please? So point C is attainable, it's achievable, but it means we are not fully utilizing our resources because we can produce more than what we are producing. This is what we are producing. Whereas we can get here, we can get here, but we stop here. Is it clear, please? So that is point C. Then point D. At point D, what does it simply mean? It simply means that we can produce more of capital goods and none of consumer goods. Because at point D, we have full here and we have zero here. Do we understand this?
Yes.
Do we get it, guys? Are you here? Yeah. So point D means we are producing more of capital goods, less of consumer goods. So now let me tell you the implication before we go to point A. An economy should try to produce more of capital goods than consumer goods. If an economy is producing consumer goods, the economy would not grow. Because it means whatever we have in terms of resources, we consume it. So what is left? So most of the problem we have in this country is that we do not produce. So whatever we have in this country are being imported into this country. Yes or no? So as a result of that, prices continue to what? To rise. Because we are not producing. So if an economy is not producing, then it continues to consume. Prices will always increase. Do we get it? So for an economy to really grow, it needs to invest more on capital goods. Why? Because capital goods are those goods that produces other goods. So you start investing on infrastructure, electricity, technology. Start investing on these things. Good road, good bridges. All these things will attract multinationals, foreign investments. So foreign investors will come into your country if your country is stable, if your country has resources, has infrastructure. So more of capital goods today, in the long run, will make the economy to grow, and consumer goods will now be in abundance. But if the economy is focused on consumer goods at now, it means in few years, the economy will be what? In decline. Do we understand, please? Do we get the point here? So for a PPF, it shows the combination that can be produced if all resources are fully utilized. So point C is not what you should think of as an economy because it means you are not using all your resources. This is attainable based on government policies. The economy is run by the government, yes or no? Yes. So whatever decisions that we make here is made by the government of the country. We have supply side policy, we have fiscal policy, we have monetary policy. These are different policies government use to manipulate the economy. So government will decide if it wants to put effort in this or this. Do we understand? So that's about points A, B, C, and D. Now let's go to point E. Point E is what? I wrote here is it's unattainable. Why is point E not attainable? It's not attainable because at that point, like G here, at that point, the economy does not have resources to produce. This is our boundary, yes or no?
Yes.
This is our boundary, right? This ends our output. Anything here, we cannot achieve it because we don't have resources for this. Do we understand? So point A, B, D is good for the economy. Point C means the economy is not reaching its full potential. And point E means what? It is unattainable because we don't have resources to produce at that point. Any question about the production possibility frontier now? Are they clear? So in the exams, I might give you a graph to illustrate or to explain at what point each boundary is. Is it clear now? Any question about PPF? You have a question? No question, right? So from here we go to economic growth and decline, I think. Yes.